Hey, welcome to Romance Happy Hour. I'm Dylan Crush, and I'm here with Dawn Ludicky, your other co-host. It's always backwards. There we go. And we have guests Liz Crow and Daniela Romero tonight. So super excited to have you ringing
Cheers,
out
y'all.
2021 with us. Yay!
Woohoo!
I drank my glass of wine. I'm sticking to water now, but yes, very excited to have you here. It's our last show of 2021. I think we're all ready to put 2021 to bed and move on to, of course, didn't we feel this way last year too? We were all ready to say goodbye to 2020 and then look what happened. But yeah, I think we're all ready to ring in a new year. So Dawn, why don't you tell us what's going on with you, reindeer ears over there?
You know, I'm feeling kind of frumpy, so I decided to put some reindeer antlers on to pretend like I'm got it together today. I have Alexa Jade coming out. Well, hopefully I actually got to turn it in first soon, but I'm just working on a cowboy book, and right now I'm doing some real estate school right now. I'm pretty excited about that, kind of getting a new chapter in my life too with that. So if you're going to come move by me, I can find you a house, hopefully. Going to come be my neighbor. But other than that, I am looking forward to next week when I can just shut down and bake stuff.
So you're taking a couple weeks off for the holidays?
Probably not off, but just scaling back a little bit. I'm gonna do a lot of cookies, and my mom's having this big thing for the holidays, and my brother's coming in staying with us, and so we got some family coming. I'm pretty excited. I haven't seen them in a couple of years, but yeah.
Well, this is your first holiday, like your first Christmas back kind of at home for a while. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And then I got it, it's a crazy time of year. What about you?
I am working on more edits. So I turned in edits last week for my my next first book in a brand new cowboy series, and then I had a conversation. I had a couple questions from my editor, and she was out of town, and so we talked earlier this week. And so I'm making a couple more changes and turning that in tomorrow. It's actually up for pre-order already, but there's no cover, so you can check out Kiss Me Now Cowboy is up for pre-order.
Just love the title.
Yeah, there's just no cover yet, so I'm excited to see what they come up with for the cover. So we'll see. Other than that, yeah, I'm working on the whiskey book. I know everybody thinks I'm lying because I've been talking about this Whiskey Wars series for a long time. But it's going to be going up for pre-order super soon. So
yay!
That will be coming. And yeah, and I know Liz, because I read Liz's book. I was on live with Liz not too long ago, and Liz has a brewery in her books, and you've actually worked in that industry. So I know it's kind of fun to have Liz here tonight to talk about that. But so that's what I've been up to. And then we had my mom coming last year. We did nothing for the holidays. It was just us. And this year my mom is coming, and we are still in the middle of our basement is now done, but now everything that was in the basement that we took out of the basement so we could finish the basement is on the first floor, and it needs to either go back or go out. So I have a lot of house stuff
I'm good at moving stuff. I'll come over and help you.
That would be great. Yeah, just hop on over, will you? Okay. Although we are getting 5 to 10 inches of snow tomorrow, so maybe you might want to wait till next week.
Okay. Yeah.
But we are very excited to have Liz Crow and Daniela Romero with us tonight. So Liz, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you write and anything else that you think people might want to know?
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. Cheers. Cheers. Happy hour. There has to be drinking involved. Yes, I am Liz Crow. I have been writing for about a decade now, I guess. I've been published for about 10 years. I have currently 30-some books available in some format or another. My most recent books, I have been drawing on my experience as a brewery owner. And I was the owner in charge of marketing and sales and events and all that stuff. I was not the brewer, but I learned how to do all those adjacent things. And I am Cicerone certified. So I'm one of those annoying beer people that I sometimes make people's eyes glaze over because I know more than I probably should, just because it's annoying. You know, I go out and I can tell you more than you want to know about the beer you're drinking. So I have to dial it back sometimes.
What does that mean? You're what certified?
Cicerone. A Cicerone is like a sommelier. You know what a sommelier is for wine?
Yeah, for wine.
Only
Okay.
for beer. Right. So tests, many hours of studying and tests and all kinds of stuff were involved with that.
I bet that was really difficult studying beer.
It was. I'm not going to lie because I had to know.
I'm not joking. I mean, it was difficult, but lots of research too, which would be enjoyable.
And I did when I finished it. A friend of mine is because in sommelier it's different from sommelier because the sommelier is there are levels like A, B, and C, all these levels and things. Cicerone has like 3 levels. I'm at the low level, I guess, basic one. But my friend who's like, oh, now you can take the sommelier test. I'm like, no, no. But yeah, I learned a lot. I know a lot and it's cool. So I kind of channel that into some fiction, or I try to. And I've got one series already out that's set in the beer world. And then that's currently being translated into several languages, but also recorded for audio book. It's the Brewing Passion series. It's the more erotic one. And then I have this new series that it's not really a series. It's a duology or whatever you call it when there's one book and a sequel. The What Happened in Denver, the one that we talked about earlier that came out this year. That is kind of, it's more of a rom-com, you know, less erotic. But then I'm writing its sequel, which I don't know if you read the book or not, Dylan. There is a brother story that I'm telling in What Happens in Chicago, and that comes out in January. So I'm working on that now. I'm at the galley stage. So, you know, where you've read it like 8 gazillion times and you're reading it again to make sure, you know, line by line. So I'm at that stage right now, which is the irritating stage, but yet the stage where, you know, it's almost done. So that's great. So that comes out the 24th of January, the sequel.
Great.
So yeah, so I write, I've got this later this year, I've got a soccer series coming out that's going to be kind of a lighthearted romance, sort of a little bit of rom-com, a little bit of, you know, kind of some steamy rom-com, I guess, maybe is a good way to put it. So that's going to come out as a series starting in April. So I'm working on that too.
Great. And what beer are you drinking tonight?
Tonight, I am drinking a Basement IPA from Scofflaw Brewing out of Georgia, Athens, I think, Georgia. Okay. I'm learning about some of my really dear friends, a couple who owns a brewery back in Fenton, Michigan, that I did some work with. They met when they went to Clemson, which is right in my backyard here. I'm in Greenville now. And so they are going to come down next weekend, I think. Yeah, next weekend. They've got a house in the mountains somewhere. And they're going to show me. They've scoped out all the good breweries in Greenville. So we're going to go do a little brewery hopping here in Greenville and check it out. So, yeah.
Excellent. That sounds good.
I'm kind of a hophead, so I like it on the hoppier side. Not hazy, though. I like traditional IPA, which is, I guess, a West Coast style, or either an English IPA, which is a little more balanced than some of the East Coast hazy versions, which are juicy, they call them. I'm not a huge fan of that, but they're very popular. So
I am not a hophead. I don't like IPAs. I like a Hefeweizen or a wheat beer. I love.
I also like. I really am a huge fan of Czech Pilsners. I love because there's a little kind of a spicy pepperiness to those that if you do them right. And they're hard to get right. Their lagers are the harder. I mean, you think they're easy, but they're harder to do because you can't hide anything because the yeast finish is so clean. And there I go, boring everybody. So I'll stop.
No, I think it's pretty interesting.
Right. I've been doing a ton of research on whiskey, so it's really interesting to see how, you know, the beer process versus
the beer brewing is like the first stage of whiskey making. Yeah. So
super interesting.
And I know, so I'm from Kentucky originally, so I'm a huge bourbon fan.
You're big on bourbon.
Giant. Love it. So and I know a lot about it. I've done some research in that as well. I've got a fun little book coming out, a standalone book. I never write standalones. It's kind of weird. And I forget about it sometimes, but it's called Win Place Show. It's set in Louisville, which is
Okay.
where my husband's from, where we met at college, set around Derby weekend, and it's in the bourbon business. So I've got my hero owns a family business, which is a bourbon distillery.
I'll
And
have
he
to
can,
check that out.
yeah, it's really fun. It's a kind of a rom-com, a steamy rom-com,
Mhm.
Win Place Show. It's available for pre-order now, as of today, I think. And yeah, so super cute. Got a little illustrated cover, you know.
We'll
But
definitely have to check that out. Yeah, my whiskey distillery is set in Tennessee, so it's Kentucky bourbon plus an extra step. Any whiskey made in Tennessee has to go through the Lincoln County process, which is an extra step that goes through. So yeah.
Well, what's fun to me is I always have to tell people, they're like, why is it bourbon? I'm like, well, if you've reused the cask to age it, it's not bourbon anymore.
Right.
Basically.
There's so many rules. I know when I first started looking into this, I was like, you know, I know like whiskey, there's whiskey, and then there's single malt, and then there's single barrel, and then there's a blend, and then there's Scotch. There's so much to know. And I know this much. I know
Think of a bourbon, it has to just stay in the same barrel. It can't go to a different barrel.
No. It can blend. You can blend bourbons, but the barrels are charred, right? They're oak barrels and they're charred inside, fired up and made to be almost black. And then the white liquor that has been created, it's literally clear, is put in those barrels, and that's what gives it the amber color. And then once you take it out of that barrel usually, or they used to be, shipped to Scotland to make Scotch, because after that barrel's been used, you can't use it again to make bourbon. Right. It's not bourbon anymore.
Okay.
So a barrel can only be used one time. Yeah. Now everybody, all the breweries want bourbon barrels to age their. So there's no. I mean, now there's a shortage of them. There aren't enough of them right now to go around.
Yep. Or they're doing wine, like they'll finish wine in a bourbon barrel or a whiskey. Super interesting.
Yep.
We'll have to talk about that some
I know. Everyone's eyes are glazing over already. We should stop.
Daniela, welcome. Sorry, do you have any alcohol in any of your books, Daniela?
I do, but I know nothing about beer. I don't drink beer. My husband drinks beer. So like the extent of my alcohol, since most of my books are new adult college romances and high school romances, is like young people just getting trashed at a party.
Shit-faced. Love it. Yeah.
And that's how we all figured out, right?
Yep. As we do. When you're digging out the coins out of the couch at the dorm to try and buy a case. Yeah.
Right.
I remember those days.
No, when you're a girl, you don't have to. You just show up and bite your eyelashes and you're good to go.
But
so Daniela, tell us a little bit about what you're writing and what's going on with you. Get us all caught up.
Oh, so many things. So I write predominantly high school, college, bully romances, and then I also do paranormal. I was doing that under a different pen name, and I started merging them into one. So right now we're in like that fun transitioning phase of like taking all of my past paranormal titles and shifting them over to this name so that there's no longer like crossover confusion, because weirdly enough, my readers like both of them. So I'm like, cool, I'm one person. So going through that, I have a couple books coming up. The one I'll be reading from tonight, The Savage, comes out in March. So that is always exciting. We've been working on some foreign translations lately, so that's been super cool. Got some books out lately in German and in Spanish, so always a fun experience. And then for those who don't know, I do also run like a book subscription box in a bookshop. So that has been doing all sorts of craziness, where we were doing 2 monthly book subscription boxes, and we're launching a 3rd one for next year, and doing a rom-com box in addition to our Bully Me Book Crate and Supernatural box. So we've been doing all of that crazy, exciting stuff too. And then we just got back from Disneyland. So that's why I was
wow.
a little bit late today. It was good. We went to one of the Disney Merriest Nights events and got to see a parade and lots of like little different parties in different parts of the park with characters and stuff. It was a lot of fun.
And you said Disneyland, right? Not Disney World?
Yes, Disneyland, because I am in Washington, but I'm originally from California. So I took one of my 3 children and went with my sister. We kind of had some fun bonding with our 2 6-year-olds.
I was
Wow.
just in California over this past weekend. Super fast trip. So, but my mom was at
Cute.
Disneyland last week, so with some of my cousin's kids. So funny.
Cute.
She said it was crazy busy though. They said that they have limited admission. You know, like you have to have a reservation and everything. She said it was still really, really busy.
The Merriest Nights wasn't that bad.
Okay.
I will say that it's a separate ticket from the regular park pass.
Got it.
So it was like 5 o'clock at night to midnight. So
Okay.
everybody who was there for like the regular Disneyland had to leave by
Mhm.
5 o'clock.
Okay.
So it was busy in that, like, it's what I would expect if I went to like the farmers market.
Mhm.
But it wasn't like we never waited in line for more than 5 minutes.
Oh wow. That's how I need to
So
do Disney.
so in terms of like theme park busyness, I didn't feel like it was busy at all. It's our first kind of like big COVID outing. And I
Mhm.
kind of only went because my sister's husband was unable to go. So she was like, I have 2 tickets and they are free if you will come with me. And I was like, okay. Because we haven't really like breached the great outdoors yet.
Mhm.
But it's about what I would expect, like if I went to a park or if I went to the farmers market. It wasn't stressful, and they were really like on top of people saying like, hey, you need to pull your mask up, and
Good.
being really diligent about that.
Mhm.
So because you see people cheat and they're like have it under their nose or like gaping open forward.
Yes. Well, that sounds like fun. I've never been there for holidays, but yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
It was cute. My little one loved it.
I bet.
Does. Well, do we think we should get going?
Probably. Yes. Yeah, let's get going. I think Liz is reading for us first tonight. So, do you need to set up a scene at all? Are you starting from page 1 or what do we need to know? Oh, you're muted.
Yep, you're muted.
Now I'm back. Hello. It's late. I'm tired. I'm sorry. Going with the meet cute from What Happens in Denver, which is a sort of a rom-com style, first person, all from the female perspective, the entire book, which is new to me. And because I normally write in third person and give both perspectives. So I tried something new based on recommendation from some folks that I've been working with. So gave it a shot and it's working out pretty well. It's a fun book. And so this woman, her name is Andy. She owned a beer bar with her husband in Louisville, and he divorced her and kicked her out of the company all at once and left her at loose ends. She is a beer expert. She left her master's degree program to open this brewery with her husband. And so it's this whole thing about how she's down, low, down in the dumps. Her life's over, and she decides to go to Denver to a big beer conference. And that's kind of a thing. Beer cons, they're giant, or they used to be, right? Pre-COVID. I can't wait till we get back to those because they're fun. The one that I based this off of in Denver is GABF, the Great American Beer Fest, which is the biggest one. I've been 3 times, and I remember 2 of them. So
I was going to say, like a convention about booze. I mean, like
it is. And GABF, if you look it up, it's the one, and it's in Denver every year, and they're hoping to have it live again next year. So
what time of year does this happen, Liz?
Usually it's either in September or October. They flip-flop it.
Oh, okay. So we missed it. So we'll have to wait a long time.
So yeah, well, it was virtual again this year. So next year they're hoping it's live.
Yeah,
whatever.
because I mean, it's not as fun when you're getting drunk on Zoom.
No, not at all. And really, it ended up being because you do meet a ton. And the thing is, it's networking, and you're meeting all these people. And I met all my beer idols and celebrities, and it's so cool. And you hang out and you drink a lot, and you have to learn to pace yourself.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, and the first year I went, I was not good at that, so I barely remember that year. But anyway, so Andy goes to this beer fest, which is based off this, to find a job because there's employment expos and all kinds of stuff always at these things, and to network, right? So, and she's over it. She's over the whole thing, but she's like, okay, I got to get a job in this business. She's over dudes, right? Because her husband has been a jerk. and cut her out of their marriage and the business that she built with him. So the other thing about Beer Fest is that you're always tasting like high gravity IPAs, and you're because the breweries come from all over the nation, and they set up a booth in this giant expo center, the biggest expo center I have personally ever seen, and they're pouring all this crazy stuff, the weird stuff, like to show off. These breweries are doing. They're not bringing their flagship beers. They're bringing the weird 20% aged in rum barrels on a ship with peanut butter. I mean, just the weirdest crap. And you're tasting that. And so Andy's done with that. She's over it after the first day. And she just wants to go to a dive bar. She's like, I want to go to a dive. And this is also a thing that I learned my second year and my third year is that you hook up with the right people. And they are like, you go to a fancy dinner or a beer dinner, and then you go and you find a dive bar and you dance until your feet fall off. And it's just fun, right? It's just cool. And so she's like, I just want a dive bar. I don't want to dance. I want to drink a PBR. I'm done with all this crap, right? I want to pass me the ribbon, and I want to not think about this for a while. So that's the setup.
Okay.
So she's asked her Uber driver to take her to the Denver's finest dive bar. And so she's walked in the door and had a seat at the bar.
All right. We will leave you to it, and we will come back after.
All right. Your finest PBR, please, good sir, I said to the person behind the bar, going with my gut about their gender, a crapshoot since all I could see of them was a long, stringy ponytail and a gray t-shirt and a pair of baggy jeans. Draft, the person growled without turning to face me. Of course, I said, willing to take a chance on the cleanliness of the beer lines. I'd know if they were bad within seconds of being served anyway, and could switch to a canned version of the easygoing lager I was craving. On me, a deep voice said to my left, and another here. I looked over at him, gratitude on my lips. I froze as a fog of what were the odds filled my vision. It was burly man brewer Burke brother right here in my newfound secret Denver dive bar. Thanks, I said, staring ahead. The beers materialized in front of us, perfectly gorgeous, yellow and fizzy. Cheers. Prost, he said, touching his glass to mine. We drank. It was liquid gold perfection, not an off flavor in sight. I smacked my lips and set the half empty down on the bar. Impressive, he said, not meeting my eyes, which was good because I'd reverted to full-on nervous, tongue-tied teenager. I picked up the glass again, drank more, put the glass down. James Burke, my newfound mini obsession, did the same. We finished our beers in the sort of awkward silence that caused physical pain. One more? James asked. At least, I replied. It was weird, way beyond weird, or maybe it was exactly what I needed. James raised a finger. 2 more beers appeared. We drank. Protein? He pushed a basket of peanuts toward me, the word barely more than a grunt. I ate a couple, staring at the game on the screen above our heads. When he turned to face me, I felt his gaze, but didn't meet it. I was woefully unprepared, like a rookie on her first date, which was dumb. This wasn't a date. This was a random encounter land. I flushed. Random encounters sometimes led to random encounter sex, at least on the TV shows I'd binged watched during my self-imposed retreat from the world. I chanced a sideways peek. He was staring at me, his chin in his hand, elbow on the bar. He was smiling in a way that relaxed me out of the spiky tension brought on by the thought of random encounter sex. I hadn't waxed down there in over a year, and I was pretty sure it had grown cobwebs. And besides, I wasn't ready for sex, random or otherwise, even with this hunky bearded specimen. He held up his half-empty glass. To pretentious beer conventions, he said, and finding a dive bar where beautiful women drink PBRs. I'll drink to all of that. We clinked glasses again. When I brought mine to my lips, a little too aggressively, a splash of beer went up my nose while another landed on my shirt. I snorted. James handed me a napkin, his smile fixed in place. I frowned and took it from him. I didn't want or need this right now. I needed a damn job. Him and his tall, burly, not really my type handsomeness was distracting me. I faced the bar again, my throat tight and my head spinning. Another, I said, sliding $10 across the sticky bar top. I heard a clunk next to me. I sensed James sliding off his bar stool. My hand shot out, seemingly under its own power, and rested on his arm. Despite my determination not to, I was hyper aware of the bulky musculature of his bicep. I let go. Sorry, I muttered. Gotta take a leak, he said. He put his lips near my ear. I smelled beer and peanuts on his breath. Try not to miss me too much. F word off, I said, my face flaming so hot I worried about early onset menopause. I put my hand to my neck, then to my cheek, then slammed half of my third beer and tugged a sticky menu toward me. Do you have nachos? Yeah, the bartender said again without looking at me. Want a double? Of what? A double serving of cheese. Obviously. I rolled a peanut around in my palm. I should get the hell out of here. Go to my hotel, shower, sleep, pretend I'd not had this super bizarre surprise moment. A hand landed on my shoulder. I shifted away from it. Sorry, James said, taking his seat again. I sometimes lose my sense of appropriate touching when I've had 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 PBRs. He slapped the bar. Let's make it an uneven 9, my good man. The guy poured 2 more beers without a word about over-serving or calling us a cab. Living on the edge. I loved it. The nachos arrived, glowing neon orange under the shitty lighting. Oh, hell yeah, James said, his voice steady. I knew I loved you. I glared at him when he reached across the expanse between us for a chip. Inappropriate grabbing of food is also discouraged. I shoved a drippy chip into my mouth, closed my eyes, and gave in to the horror show perfection of the warm, empty calories. Wow, James said, chin propped on his hand again. That was super hot. I grinned and wiped my chin, took another long slug of cheap beer, mirrored his chin and hand position, and shoved the basket of disgusting crap posing as food toward him. He bypassed it to touch his fingertip to the corner of my upper lip, then put said fingertip to his lips. Wow, that was super cheesy. You need to brush up, pal. Find something original. He shrugged and stuck his massive fingers into the mess of chips and orange gunk. Sue me, I'm out of practice. I couldn't help but notice he was blushing. It made me tingly, a sensation I hadn't experienced in so long, it took me a second to differentiate it. Once I did, I clamped down on it. No tingles for me. Jobs, networking, beer, shower, sleep. I slid off my bar stool, eager to escape. As I figured he would, he put a hand on my arm. Wait, don't go. Please? I stared down at his hand, then into his eyes, touching again without asking. He grinned, let go of me, and slapped the seat I'd vacated. I rolled my eyes. Come on, sit. Let's talk. Tell me about you. I sat and picked up my beer. I'll listen if you want to tell me about you. Ha, hell no. He held up his glass. I touched mine to it. We drank. You're really not my type, I said, once the chip basket was cleaned out. I reached in and swiped my finger across a garish smear of pseudo cheese sauce. Okay, I'm about to do something inappropriate. Ready? He grabbed my wrist and pulled my outstretched finger to his lips. I was too shocked and polluted on cheap beer to resist. I watched, detached, as if some other woman's cheese-coated finger was about to be sucked into some strange man's mouth. Right before he did it, he grinned and let go of me. Give me some credit, he said, taking a napkin and holding it over the finger in question. Oh, no, you don't, I said, sticking it in my mouth, closing my eyes, and pretending to climax. I mean, say what you will. That scene and When Harry Met Sally was a game changer. I gave it my all, shivering and moaning and slapping the bar. When I opened my eyes, everyone in the place was staring at me. I grinned and patted my mouth with a napkin, then crossed my legs and threaded my fingers together over my knees. James stared at me, his jaw hanging open, no longer feigning nonchalance. Someone out of the darkness, beyond the bar lights, gave me the slow clap. Well, thanks for the scintillating conversation, I said, and wished I hadn't the second the word hit in my mouth. I heard my bitchy tone and almost apologized for it, but I didn't. Screw this guy, his super annoying, super hotness. I need to get some sleep. I picked up my phone and hit the rideshare app icon. He turned to look at me. His boyish handsomeness hit me like a velvet-coated sledgehammer. It set my pulse racing like some teenager's. I sucked in a breath, hoping he wouldn't sense my heart pounding like a bass drum in my ears. I'm sorry, I'm usually not so... Antisocial, tongue-tied. I smiled to soften my words. He matched it. Holy crap, this man is gorgeous. But in a kind of grows on you way I'd never bothered to comprehend. I went for the obvious hotties, like my ex, or this guy's brother. My recently discovered resolve against men and their BS slipped in the glare of his expressive green eyes, set in a face reflecting his genetic lottery winner status. It was different than his brother's, but it was no less handsome. And his nervousness only added to his cute factor. Yep, time to go. No random encounters for this chick. I slid off the ancient bar stool again. I'll leave you to your meditations. Resisting the sudden, near irresistible compulsion to place my palm across his bearded cheek, I turned and headed for the door.
I'm unmuting everybody so we can chat again.
So cute. I love it. I
Very
love how
cute.
sassy she is.
What's that?
I love how sassy she is.
Oh yeah, she is.
I love the sassy heroine.
She is, yeah, and she's deflecting a lot, but it is definitely she's that way all the way through. That's her nature, and it sometimes gets her in trouble, but she doesn't, hide who she is for anybody. So it was fun creating. It was fun creating a character like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now I'm kind of craving nachos.
Right,
yeah.
right. Sometimes you got to have the ugly fake orange, just it's so good.
All right, well, we do have a couple questions here before we get to Daniela. So first one is, how is everybody celebrating Christmas this year? Anybody?
You want to take that one first, Liz?
Yeah, well, I just moved. So I'm in a new house in Greenville, South Carolina. We just moved. It will be, what is it, the 9th? I moved on the 12th of November. So I'm not quite as surrounded by cardboard as I was, but I'm still digging out my Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find the tree and I'll put it up and everything. And I've got a few people coming. 2 of my 3 kids will be here. One's coming from Boston, the other from West Lafayette, Indiana. My middle kid lives in Toronto and she can't get away. She's finishing her thesis right now. So she's going to stay where she is. But my mom lives with us now. So she's here and she's prepping all the fun baking. She's going to handle all that, which is great.
Oh. So did you move yourself or have a mover come take you?
Well, yes and yes. We had a mover. Yeah. So I packed a lot of the stuff. I've moved a lot because we've lived in 3 different countries overseas, and I mean the packing part of it, I've got down pretty well. And it saves you a little bit of money if you do some of the packing yourself. Mm-hmm. So I did I'd say about 80% of the packing of my own house. And then they come and do, like I had them pack the pictures and the mirrors and the lamps, and then they loaded it all in the big giant truck and drove it down here and then unloaded it all. So
I was gonna say, because we found that just recently that we lost 1 box of Christmas decorations in our move. So it was all the new stuff too. My daughter was pretty bummed, but
yeah. Well, my garage, I'm kind of ignoring it because it's piled high with stuff. Yeah. But all the Christmas stuff is out there. So that's this weekend's project is I'm going to get in there and I'm going to get the tree out and I'm going to get as much of the stuff as I can.
Yeah. What about you, Daniela? How are you celebrating Christmas?
So we're probably just going to do something low key here with my husband and I have 3 children. We did do a little bit of a holiday get together with some relatives on Thanksgiving and found out the day after that one of our relatives tested positive for COVID. So they came over having had it and not been aware. So like my mom anxiety is like, yeah, let's not risk that again. So we all got tested and nobody ended up having it, and that was great. But we'll probably just do something very low key. Kids, Christmas movies, stockings, presents, our usual thing, but on a smaller scale.
Yeah. Okay. So, and Dylan, you said your mom's coming.
Yep. And that's it. It'll just be us and Mom. My sister was going to come up from Texas, but her kids are like grown-ups now and have, college and jobs and stuff like that. And I know when they start to not have to adhere to your calendar, it makes things really challenging, doesn't it?
Does. All three of mine are that way, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm
Yep.
having Christmas, so if you want to come have some with me, I'm here. You got to come here.
This
Yep.
this is the first year my mom got me and my family here.
Mhm.
But my oldest sister, she's not here. But other than that, it's her first year having like almost
Oh,
everybody.
that's great. That's nice.
Well, and Dawn's got like 20 sisters, so that's going to be a big get together.
No, I got 4 sisters and 1 brother. So yeah. But all right, so we got this one.
Alert
here.
from Google Chrome.
And I'm so sorry.
Buzzy Christmas coffee shop ambiance with jazz
Yeah,
Christmas.
I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Sorry you had to hear my notifications. So couldn't figure out how to turn it off. I went from a MacBook Air to a Pro, and apparently I'm not a pro at my Pro. So, do you have any rituals or anything you do before writing, i.e., cup of coffee, put music on, etc.?
I don't, and I never have, because when I started writing, my kids were still around. I was selling real estate. I was very busy. I was a busy realtor. My kids were in middle school and high school, and they were all playing sports and doing all the things. So I carved out writing time whenever I could. I did a lot of writing, waiting around for my daughter to finish soccer practices, and sitting at open houses that nobody came to. So because of that, I just kind of open up my laptop and go kind of wherever I am. Honestly, I do like to have music, but typically not when I'm writing. I like quiet when I'm writing, but when I'm editing and revising and stuff, I do like music. It helps.
What about
I don't particularly have any rituals either, to be entirely honest. For a lot of the same reason, I had small children, so it was kind of just carving out that time wherever I could. I'd say the closest thing to a ritual is finding some form of caffeinated beverage, because believe it or not, though, not for the wake up. I have ADHD, so caffeine helps me to focus. So I generally am aiming for some type of caffeinated beverage so that I can sit in front of my computer for an extended period of time, or sometimes I type on my phone in Google Docs, because I am a millennial and my texting fingers are just as fast as my typing fingers. And then, as weird as this sounds, a hoodie. So if I want to be in the mood to write, I have found that I will write better if I am wearing a hoodie, and it's just like a comfort, also like a weird ADHD thing, that if I just put on that, it gives me a sense of comfort and I can do my job.
That's way cool. I think I'm going to try that to see if it helps me focus next time. The hoodie. It's kind of like a blinder for horses.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It is.
I
like to be warm and cozy. So I don't think you guys can hear it now because I have my AirPods on, but I have like a little desk under the desk heater. My house is warm, but I'm just like, but this helps because it's like, then it's extra cozy.
Yeah. I love being extra cozy.
See, I'm getting to that age where the extra coziness is like, I just start shedding layers.
Oh yeah, me too.
But
it's extra cozy is just one more, not a hot flash, a power surge.
Power surge. Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
You want to answer that, Dylan, or do you want to go to the next one?
Yeah, doesn't matter. I mean, I don't really have any rituals. I do write best when I'm at my desk in my office, because I've tried like going and writing with other people in places, and I spend too much time talking. No sense there.
You're super introverted, by the way.
Yep. Although
have you tried Have you tried quiet ones?
No.
Like Sprint in like Zoom rooms where like everybody is muted?
Yes.
Because I have the problem you have. I like to talk.
Yes. And then you get a little talking, because I will do that now, where we'll be in a Zoom room and we'll do like a 45-minute sprint, and then we can talk for 15 minutes.
Oh no, there's one. There's, for those who don't know about her, Becca Simon, her Patreon. She has one for Patreon members, and it is always quiet.
Oh.
And it's called like The Office. So you go in and there's people, but like everybody is muted all the time, every time. So it helps because it's like there's a sense of accountability because you're like, I can see that they're typing and I must be typing and like they're going to judge me, but nobody can talk.
Oh, see, I would have to have the break for talking occasionally, I think. Otherwise, my husband, I think, is ready to go back to the office because now that the kids are no longer doing virtual school, they're in school all day, but he's still working from home. I mean, he has not been working in his office since March of 2020. And so sometimes I have to talk to him, and he's a major introvert. And so, yeah, I think if I didn't get my break to talk to other writers during the day, I think I'd drive him crazy. But how about you, Dawn? Do you have any rituals?
Coffee in the morning. I'm
Coffee
just
for
like
sure.
early coffee in the morning. That's when I get my best writing in. But I've
Mhm.
had a really big issue here in Montana because my husband now like isn't in the military anymore, right? So he like goes to work. So he wakes up about 20 minutes after me and then goes to work. So like in order for me to work in the morning, like I used to, I'd have to wake up at like 2 or 3, and I'm not willing to do that.
He lives with you now. I mean, it used to be before he was gone for long periods of time, and so you do
Yeah.
all your writing while he was deployed. But now he actually lives with you, and that's very distracting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So during the school day, I guess, like I sit down and I write or I mark it or I do whatever I gotta do. Right now it's just the class, but my favorite time to write is in the morning, right after coffee, because that coffee, it doesn't make me focus, but it gives me like brain energy, and then that wears out by 10. And
You got to use it when you can harness it.
I know. All right, so next one, let's see. Do you ladies read or write holiday books?
I don't
I
really,
had, go
so
ahead.
I can't really speak to that. I don't know that I seek them out, and I have never written one.
And I don't seek them out. I think I watch enough Hallmark movies to get my holiday fix around this time of year. But I don't generally write one. I wrote a short story that is in the Scoring Over the Holidays anthology that's free, I believe, right now. But that is the only holiday story I have ever written, and I will say it was really hard. It was hard because it's not my go-to.
Yeah. All right, should we get to our next, to Daniela?
Yes, we want to make sure we have time to hear from Daniela. So, do you need to set up a scene for us? What do you have for us tonight?
I will give you guys a little bit of backstory. So I'm going to be reading from chapter 3 of an upcoming release, The Savage. It was previously seen in the Hot Summer School Nights anthology that is no longer available anywhere, but the dude is super sexy.
Nice.
It's a beautiful Michelle Lancaster photo. So it's kind of like my meet cute, but like I guess basically the first time they actually talk to each other. I will say, like, full warning, 90% of my books have triggers in them. I do generally, like, I feel like we went from Liz's like super fun and spunky book, and then we're gonna go into like the darker romance side of things. But currently my heroine is swimming in a pool to alleviate some stress, and we're just gonna go from there.
All right, we will leave you to it, and we'll be back after.
Okay. I slide into the water, forcing my body to relax as I roll my shoulders back and slip my goggles over my eyes. The cool temperature wipes some of the nerves away, and I push off from the edge, starting with a side stroke. I don't bother to count my laps. I'm not here to time myself. I'm here to breathe. I let myself get lost in the motions. Stroke, stroke, breathe. Stroke, stroke, breathe. I keep up the pattern, kicking with my legs to propel myself forward. When my fingertips graze the pool's wall, I do a flip turn and keep going, increasing my speed on each revolution until I'm sprinting the length of the pool. I tear through the water, letting all thought drop away until my shoulders burn and my left leg starts to cramp. I'm not sure how much time passes, but before I wear myself out too much, I come to a stop mid-lap and swim to the ladder. Pulling myself up and over the edge, My chest heaves and I tear my goggles off my face, dropping them beside me as I take stock of my body. My thigh spasms, so I massage the muscle, taking a minute to catch my breath. The 2 swimmers who were here when I started are long gone. The clock on the wall reads 10 after 4. I've been swimming for 40 minutes, though it feels like it's maybe been 20. A movement on my left pulls my attention, and I turn to find a familiar face sitting on one of the benches, watching me. I shudder. Gabriel's brows are drawn, his jaw tight. He's looking at me like he's trying to solve a complicated puzzle, and I don't like it. I'm not sure what to make of him, but as the seconds pass, our eyes remain on one another, neither of us blinking. He shifts in his seat like he's readying himself to stand, and a sudden flood of panic hits me in the chest. What if he walks over here? What if he tries to talk to me? Yeah, pass. I slip back into the pool, not bothering with my goggles this time, and dive right back into my swim, switching it up with a backstroke so I can keep track of his movements. I don't like that it's only the 2 of us here. Gabriel stays in his spot, never moving, not even to get comfortable. It's unnerving, to say the least. This time around, I count my laps as a distraction. 10 turns into 20, and then turns into 33. 1 mile, if I had to guess. I did 2 miles before. I figured he'd take off at some point, get bored watching me, and give up on whatever it is that he's waiting to say, but he never does. With another 20 minutes under my belt and my body screaming for relief, I admit defeat and drag myself back up to the swim ladder and out of the pool. Resignation pulls at me. I'll have to hear him out or risk drowning. Not as unappealing as you'd think, but what puts a real damper on my thoughts is knowing he'll try, and likely succeed, in rescuing me all over again. Yay me, I have my very own guardian angel. Not wasting any time, he pushes from his seat and walks towards me. But when he gets close, my nerves kick in and I slip back into the pool to tread water in the middle of my lane. He frowns, hovering a few feet away from the pool's edge. I thought you were done, he asks, and shoves his hands into his pockets, rocking back on his heels. He's not in the same clothes he wore earlier, having traded in his low-slung jeans for a pair of black athletic pants that are as revealing as they are modest. Gray sweatpants have nothing on these when Gabriel shifts his stance, angling his body to the side. I squeeze my eyes closed for a second and shake my head. I am. I swallow hard. Done, I mean. My legs cramp again, but he's standing right by the ladder, and I don't love the idea of getting out when we're alone. He's that close. It's one thing to be in a crowded hallway, which is moderately safe, thanks to the sea of potential witnesses if anyone were to step out of line. But another to be alone in a room with a guy I don't know a thing about, wearing nothing but a swimsuit. I'm smarter than this. His brows pull together, a small furrow forming between them. If you're done, why'd you get back in the pool? Because you all but lunged for me. Call me crazy, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. What do you want? Safe? From what? From you, I scream in my head, but don't bother to say it out loud. It shouldn't take a genius to put it together, and given that he's athletic and that Pac North requires all players to maintain a 3.0 GPA minimum, he can't be that dumb. You think I'd hurt you? And there it is. I knew he'd get there on his own. I try to shrug, but the effort isn't quite the same when you're struggling to stay afloat in 9 feet of water. No such thing as a shallow end in a lap pool. I don't know you. I have no way of judging whether you'd hurt me or not. Some weird little voice in the back of my head says he wouldn't, or at the very least wants to believe that. But that he has the potential to hurt me, the physical strength and capability to overpower me, is reason enough for me to want some distance between us. I saved you, he snaps, indignation clear in his tone. His honey-colored eyes darken, taking on an amber hue, and I jerk my gaze away. I shouldn't be looking at the pretty boy with the pretty eyes. Come on, Cecilia, get it together. Yeah, thanks for that. Sarcasm drips from my voice. Look, can you just say or ask whatever it is you need and then go away? I'd like to get out of here sometime this century. He grunts and surprises me when he takes several steps back, not stopping until he's leaning against the wall, a good 15 feet between him and the ladder now. I just want to talk. See how you're holding up. He nods to the ladder. You can get out. I'll stay over here. I consider him for a moment before my leg spasms again, and I take a mouthful of water that makes the decision for me. I climb up the ladder, careful to keep him in my line of sight, as I inch further away from him around the edge of the pool. I grab my towel from a nearby chair and wrap it around me, but I don't take a seat. If this conversation goes south, I want to be on my feet, able to book it should the need arise. You know I won't try anything, right? I'm not like that. Sure, I say to placate him. He curses under his breath, in Spanish, I think, but I don't know the words, though his harsh tone and expression are enough to convey his meaning. What's your damage? You're acting like I'm the enemy or some shit when all I did was carry you out of here when you needed help. I never asked for your help, I remind him. Is he expecting a thank you? I hope not. He won't be getting one from me. Gabriel's mouth drops open. Are you effing with me right now? I shake my head. No, I didn't ask for your help. I wait, expecting him to tell me I'm stupid or storm off in a huff, but he doesn't do either of those things. His eyes bore into mine like he's trying to peel back my layers to see what's hiding underneath. You're going to do it again, aren't you? He asks, taking me by surprise. No one else has bothered asking that. I'm sure they think it, but no one says it, not out loud, not giving me time to respond, he adds. Might not be today, might not even be this month, but the thought is still in your head, right? He mutters another foreign curse and hangs his head, sucking in a deep breath. F word. A sinking feeling hits me, and I try to decipher where it's coming from, but draw a blank. Why do you care? He doesn't know me. We're not friends. Why does any of this matter to him? He lifts his head, a stark expression on his face, but it's only there for a second before a new emotion covers it up. Anger. Vivid and raw. Do you have any idea how effing selfish you are? He pushes from the wall and stalks towards me. Does it even register for you the kind of damage that little stunt of yours caused? He doesn't let me answer. I saw your parents that day. After they were called to the clinic, his lips curl in disgust. They were wrecked, and you want to do that shit to them all over again? You're a real piece of work, you know that? Words jam up in my throat. I don't even know how to respond to that. His eyes bleed with emotion, a furious blend of anger and anguish. I'm so taken aback by his words that I haven't moved despite the few scant inches now separating us. My feet are frozen in place, my breath trapped in my lungs. You don't get to do shit like that. You're not a child. No one's going to excuse your behavior. Whatever the hell your issue is, grow the F up and get over it. Life moves on. And don't for a second think it's okay to do what you did to them. Shit like that doesn't go away for the people you leave behind. He barks out a humorless laugh. What am I thinking? You don't care. You don't give an F if you scar your loved ones. If you effing break them, which for the record, you will. You'll destroy them when you succeed with your little getaway plan. No one else has talked to me the way he is right now. Not about what happened, what I did. Mom and Dad coddle me. My therapist tries to understand me, but no one has blamed me like Gabriel is right now. Do you have any idea what will happen once you're gone? The level of destruction that that'll be a direct result of your actions. He pauses for me to answer, but I have no words. None. They're trapped in my throat, making it ache and burn. He looks right at me, stares into me like he needs me to hear him. He narrows his eyes, his attention like a physical weight pressing down on me. His voice drops. Your parents will be beside themselves with grief, and all grief needs an outlet. There's a bitter edge to his words, like he's no longer speculating. He's speaking from experience. They'll wonder what they could have done, what signs or signals they missed. Did they tell you they loved you enough? Did they try hard enough to make you stay? Asking those questions won't make them feel better, so they'll move on to the blame game. They'll blame each other for your death. They'll have to blame somebody, anybody. But they sure as shit can't blame you, even though it's your goddamn fault. They'll remember you as the perfect child who never made a single mistake. They'll forget all the bad things in their grief, all the times you screwed up, all the therapy and hospital stints, the sleepless nights, none of it existed. So blaming you, putting any shred of responsibility on your shoulders is wrong. He stabs a finger into my chest, looming over me like an avenging angel. But it's not wrong. Them being effed up over what you did is your fault. You deserve the blame. And it'll be your fault when they get a divorce because the sight of one another is a constant reminder of the kid they lost. It'll be your fault when your mom gives into depression and gets hooked on painkillers, when your dad turns to alcohol so he can forget the kid that killed herself and the wife that he lost to her pain. All of that shit will be your effing fault. I wilt under the onslaught of his words. Each one hits me hard like a knife in the chest, leaving me to bleed on the stone floor. I didn't think clearly, he deadpans. His chest rises and falls rapidly, the tendons straining in his neck. His warm, heavy breaths fan over my face, reminding me he's close, too close. But I can't find it in me to step away. There's this crazy, irrational part of me that wants to comfort him, soothe his pain away. Who'd you lose? My voice is hoarse, my throat thick with emotion. His entire being shifts. His lips press into a thin line, his eyes go flat, emotionless, stealing with them their amber glow. Then he clips out. My brother, my twin. I gasp, fingers covering my mouth. I'm so sorry. Don't. I snap my mouth closed. Gabriel runs his hand through his hair, tugging at the dark strands with an exasperated huff. I don't know why I told you that. He shakes his head and looks away, giving me an up close and personal look at the cut of his jawline, sharp and unyielding. Then, without another word, he shifts on his feet and heads for the door. I stare at his back, my mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. I'm tempted to call out for him, but to say what? I'm sorry for your loss. I wish I could help. For some strange illogical reason, I hurt because you're hurting? Because that's what he's doing, hurting. His pain permeates the air around him. I don't know how I didn't notice it before. It's there in the hard set of his shoulders, the aggression in his steps. Even now, as he walks away from me, I know the muscles in his back are tight, the strain in his body close to snapping. He doesn't want pretty words of comfort. He doesn't want anything, not from me. Why does that bother me? So my stuff is a lot heavier.
Oh, sorry. You guys are still muted. Whoops, there we go.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So my stuff is heavier.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. Heavy, but Liz, you're muted. Ah.
This is the lightest thing I've ever written. So I actually enjoy that. It sounds like a great book to me.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
The sequel to this one has a whole storyline of anorexia. So it's pretty heavy too.
Yeah, I was gonna say very, very good, but yeah, wow. Very, very well written.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Definitely.
That's
Well,
a lot.
we have one more question on the books. What is the book you always recommend that others read?
Oh, so many of them.
Why can we do it a two-part? What book of yours do you recommend people start with? And then what is the book, like maybe not yours, that you always recommend to others?
So for mine, I recommend people start with Wicked Devil because it is book 1 in my Devils of Sun Valley High series, and they're all interconnected standalones. But I'd say you learn the most about all of the characters we come to love in that first book. And the book that I probably recommend to everybody, if they're paranormal lovers, I generally suggest reading anything by Nalini Singh. She is just fantastic. If you're a contemporary romance lover, I'm really digging this like dark, angsty, bully romance vibe. And Angel Lawson and Samantha Rue have a book called Lords of Pain, and I think that's book 1 in their reverse harem trilogy, and it is like so good if you like the darker, I not like towing the line, but like across some lines type of romance.
I got to meet Angel in Florida when I went to NANC, and yeah, we talked a little bit about her book.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, amazing. But yes, not for the lighthearted.
Definitely not.
Escapism, lighthearted. Yeah, total.
If you like your heroes to be heroes, do not recommend. If you like your heroes to be a-holes, 5 stars, you will love it.
What about you, Liz?
I always recommend my best-selling series, hands down, is actually a real estate-based series. And the first book in it is got me started. I mean, it's the series that got me started. And so I always say start with, it's called Floor Time. Floor Time is a concept in real estate. We don't do it much anymore. But it used to be the time when you were the realtor on call and you got all the phone calls that would come in. Now it's virtual and you get like the emails that come in. So Floor Time is a kickoff to my best-selling series. And it's contemporary romance with, it's one of those that I introduced the main couple, and the first 3 books in the trilogy are their story. And then the rest of it, 10 books total, is everyone else's story. So it's a whole world, I guess, if you will. And then I am a huge fan, and this is kind of, again, opposite end of the spectrum for this, but I love Talia Hibbert books. I absolutely adore the Brown Sisters series, which is rom-com, stuff. And just, I love it. I just think it's crisp and entertaining, and her characters are very realistic and accessible in a lot of ways that I really enjoy. So I always recommend Talia Hibbert to anyone.
How about you,
What
Dawn?
about you guys?
For this one?
I would recommend, I mean, High Heels and Cowboy Boots because it's free right now. I mean, it's my new pro review. Actually, it's doing really well. Every review that comes in, or every rating that comes in, is pretty good. So I'm loving that. Or Secret Santa Collection because it comes out on the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I mean, it's like it used to be 30 books, but I think that the box set, what's the word I'm looking for, Dylan? Like
Collection?
organizer?
I don't know.
Authors, and so there's like a ton of authors within it. So it comes out on the 14th. So you get tons of books with that. And I am just a massive, massive, massive Jane Austen fan. So I just can't not just recommend Persuasion because that's my favorite. I mean, it is. Yeah, I will reread and reread and reread and reread that like a million times. So, especially for all you military wives out there watching, I know there's at least one. Yeah, seafaring military wives. It's a good one. What about you, Dylan?
For my books, I think just because it's the holidays, I would recommend Cowboy Christmas Jubilee because it is my holiday. I have one holiday Cowboy Christmas book, and that is it. And then I just got, so my oldest, who still lives at home, but just got a job at Barnes and Noble, so working at the local Barnes and Noble here. And I just got a copy of Diana Gabaldon's latest release that is signed because somebody was working and able to snag that for me off the table. So I'm a big Outlander fan, although it did take me like 3 times to get into the first book because there was so much detail about plants and stuff because she's, she uses herbs and plants and everything for healing and stuff. So I tried starting it. We were reading it for book club, and it took me like 3 times to get into the first book, and then after that I just like kind of took off and started reading them all. So I've got the hardcover, and it's like super big, and I am looking forward to spending some time over the holidays digging into that.
Nice.
So yeah, the Outlander series. And I did tonight, for any other Outlander fans out there, I did tonight read an article in the Costco magazine that we get where they did an interview with her, and she said she's working on book 10 right now, which she said will be her final Outlander book. So I didn't think that it would ever end, but evidently Diana has other plans. So we'll see. So we are per usual overtime. But why don't you, real quick before we let you go, Liz, you want to remind people what you're giving away? We have a giveaway that is going on the Romance Happy Hour Facebook page, and maybe remind people what you're giving away, and then where they can find you.
Yeah, sure. I am giving away a $50 gift card that you're going to want to get to. You can buy it, use it for presents for other people or for yourself, and a copy of What Happens in Denver, which is the book I read from tonight.
Nice.
Excellent.
And I am easy to find, lizcrow.com. Everything you need to know. I just had my website revamped. I love it. And everything is there. Ways to reach me on social media. Of course, I'm on all the socials and whatnot, but just go to lizcrow.com. Everything's there.
And it's CROWE.
WE. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I neglected to put that on my little sign-in thing. So
we know how to find you.
Yeah.
And how about you, Daniela?
So I kind of have 2 things, right? So if you are international, then it is winner's choice between a signed copy of Wicked Devil, book 1 in my Devils of Sun Valley High series, or an audiobook download of Wicked Devil. And then if you are in the US, we are doing it's kind of hard to see because the lighting is a little bit dark, but this is my bookish as F word. Black studded insulated tumbler. If you ever, were one of the people that went crazy for the ones that Starbucks had a couple years ago around Halloween that like everybody started hoarding and selling for ridiculous money. This is that same cup. It's just for book lovers. So we are giving one of these away, and these come from our Bookish Buys bookshop.
And where can people find you?
You can find me all over social media, but my website is Daniela-Romero.com, and that will kind of point you in all the directions of everywhere else to go to find me. But I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. I'm in all of the places.
Excellent.
And
All right.
Daniela, you say your name so much prettier than I do, and I'm so sorry about that. Like, I love.
No, you are totally fine. It's because it's technically Spanish. So, but
really
Daniela works. Huh?
I said it's really pretty how you say it compared to me.
Thanks.
I know I keep trying. I cannot roll my R's to save my life. And so I don't have the rolling.
I usually tell people, so for my name, because it's like a TH sound for the D. So it's like Daniela. I don't know. I think that's the difference. It's like a TH in the front instead of a D. Maybe. Okay. I could be butchering that, but
we'll practice off camera, Dawn, because I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, we'll practice off camera. Next time you come on, we'll have it down.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you for joining us for our last show for 2021. We'll be back right after the first of the year, second and fourth Thursday. You can find us right here. We've got, I think, almost like the first 6 months of 2022 all booked out. So we've got a great lineup coming to you next year. And thanks, Daniela and Liz, for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it. Thanks for helping us kind of ring out the year. We do have our countdown going on still. We are doing a Romance Happy Hour countdown to 2022, 31 days. I don't know what possessed us to do a 31-day event, Dawn.
That'd be so much easier than doing a party. And then we're just what? I'm thinking 31 days. So.
But we're having a lot of fun. You can find all the details on that in the Romance Happy Hour Facebook group. And we've got a featured author every day of December to help us count down to 2022, and a huge grand prize giveaway where you can win a copy of all 31 different books, 31 different ebooks or paperbacks. It's a mix. So make sure you check that out.
Yeah.
All the details are on our Facebook page and in the Facebook group. So, and on TikTok, Dawn and I are entering the TikTok world with Romance Happy Hour. So you can go and mock our videos on TikTok if you. So
follow us and then get everybody to follow us, because we need 1,000 followers so we can stream live.
Right. So we can eventually stream live there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're up to like 50 something right now, Dawn. So we're really close. Really close.
More than I have on the phone page.
I know. Well, as soon as we get there, there'll be some new social media that we have to hop on.
That's right. There'll be something else you got to figure out how to.
It's so hard to keep up. So hard to keep up. But thanks for joining us tonight, and make sure you get over to the Facebook page to enter the giveaway. Those are some awesome prizes. And yeah, I'm thinking like Liz, if I were to win your gift card, I would be buying myself some holiday gifts.
Yeah, as you should.
Pink antlers.
You can really put a dent in your TBR pile with that.
Yeah, you could.
And then sip some Romance Happy Hour cocktails through
Daniela.
All right, we won't keep you any longer. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
See you in 2022.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.